and welcome back to the channel of nonsense. And today, dear viewers, I want to admit that I feel a bit silly. I've always run this channel for the past year and a half on the basis of open-mindedness and honesty. Whether it's things about what I really think about EVs or Lotus or performance SUVs, I've always told it to you straight. And now, on the topic of performance SUVs, yeah, I've driven one that's made everything I've said before a bit void. I said things like the Aston DBX felt quite like a sports car to drive, but this grey thing from Porsche behind me has rendered all of my previous opinions very much null and void. This is the sports SUV to end it all, as far as I'm concerned. It's bloody brilliant, so let's go for a walk around, go for a drive, a very noisy drive, and see what it's all about. I know, I said sport SUV, so I technically said sport utility vehicle. That's like saying PIN number or Panzer tank, and I hate people who do that. But anyway, this is it, the Porsche Cayenne Turbo GT. Yeah, it's £144,000, so it's very expensive, so it better be very good, and my golly, is it good. So it's a Cayenne coupe, but they've changed quite a lot of the 4-litre twin-turbo V8 engine to give 640 horsepower, and it'll get from 0 to 62 in 3.3 seconds, which is 0.6 faster than the regular Cayenne Coupe Turbo. It'll get to 100 miles an hour in 7.7 seconds, so it's very, very fast, and it'll go on to 186 mile an hour, and it holds a Nurburgring lap record. I think we're kind of over that sort of thing, but people are still doing it. I suppose you just talk about the looks. It's got a different bumper to the rest of its Cayenne brethren. It's got more matte black bits, it's got bigger air intakes, it just looks a little bit meaner. Now, you can't see this, but underneath this has had some magic from Porsche's GT division. So it's got some aluminium suspension links and all that sort of stuff. Big 22-inch wheels, which are in this satin neodyme finish. You get carbon ceramic brakes as standard. They're 44 centimeters in diameter, so they're bloody massive, and they're very, very good. You get 10 piston calipers gripping them, and this is on Pirelli P0 Corsa tyres, so it's a pretty bloomin' racy tyre for an SUV, which kind of hints at what it's going to drive like. The wheels are actually an inch wider at the front than on a Cayenne Turbo for more grip, and you've got more negative camber as well to turn it in more keenly. Now, from the side, it looks like a Cayenne Coupe with big wheels, frankly, doesn't it? But some stuff, again, that you can't see. It weighs 2.3 tonnes. You can kind of see that, but you can't really see that. And it's got 15% stiffer adaptive air suspension. It's got 17mm reduced ride height, so it's lower than a regular Cayenne Turbo Coupe. It's got active anti-roll bars, and it's got rear axle steering. So yeah, the chassis of this thing has been blessed with many nice touches to make it drive better. At the back, you've got this fat dual titanium exhaust, which is going this delicious shade of blue. I don't think it's painted that colour. I think that is actually bluing from getting hot. It's got a 25mm wider rear spoiler. Look at this up here as well. So you've got this, and you've got the one that pops up out there. The big Wang Gang is here in several guises. Anyway, that gives you 40 kilos more downforce at 186 miles an hour. Who's going to do that? Who's going to feel that? I don't know. It's got a 549-litre boot, which goes up to 1,464 litres when you flip the rear seats down. Sorry, I've got a pram in it, but you know, these cars are designed to be used by families that want to set Nurburgring lap records, aren't they? So that's what I've been doing, apart from the Nurburgring bit. In fact, I've just been filling it with kid stuff. I'll show you the back seats. I'm not going to climb in because I forgot to hoik my kid seats out. There you go. Baby seat, toddler seat, dark, slightly more limited headroom than in a regular Cayenne. I can get in there fine, but your head does brush the ceiling a bit when you sit right up. But for families, it's absolutely vast, frankly, still. You don't really care about that. You just want me to go and drive it, don't you? Let's go up front. You get some nice touches in the Turbo GT, such as the Turbo GT bits written on the headrests as well, and you've got these slightly dubious goldy colour seat belts. Obviously, because this is a Porsche, you can change the colour of all these bits and bobs and pay handsomely for the privilege. But this one's quite nicely kitted out. You've got this kind of goldy beige stitching and Alcantara across the face of the dashboard. All Turbo GTs get an Alcantara steering wheel, and you can pay a bit extra to have the yellow 12 o'clock marker. I think you can have a red one as well. You also get the sport response button in the middle to sharpen everything up and give you instant acceleration-ness no matter what mode you're in, and that's the driving mode selector there. All feels super lovely, as in a regular Cayenne, to be honest. I drove the Cayenne GTS last year and fell in love with it a bit. And you get Sport Chrono as standard and a full complement of, oh Jesus, please slow down, I'm going to divorce you handles, and there's one for the driver there. Actually, this one here, it's quite a comfortable place to rest your left wrist when you're driving. And it starts with this little twisty thing here. It's got a 12.3-inch infotainment system, which has got wireless Apple CarPlay, but wired Android Auto. And you have to continue as guest and deactivate privacy settings and etc, etc. Apparently that's all unavailable. There you go, deactivate that. And then it's the usual kind of latest Porsche thing, which looks quite nice. I like it. It's taking too long to boot up to show you, so I won't bore you with that. And the classic Porsche 5 abreast dials, and you can change the right one to show you a map, night vision, G meters, dynamic damping control stuff, tyre pressures, the whole gamut. I've been getting 15 mpg out of this on a mixed use, mostly hooning, has to be said, which is 15 mpg is the same as that V8 Defender got. But this is a lot faster and a lot meaner, and let's just go and see how it drives, because that's what you really care about, right? Oh, look at that, embossed. That probably cost £2 grand. Right, I just scored a massive own goal by doing a wee in the hedge and then stepping in it. It's not been a good day, all told. But anyway, things are improving because we're going for a drive in the Turbo GT. You put your foot on the brake, twist that, and it does fire into life with quite a meaty growl, especially if you've got it in Sport Plus mode, or you've configured the individual mode to open the flaps in the exhaust, and you can do that by pressing, there's no button down there, you've got to do it through the menus. You can change the suspension between Sport Plus, Sport and Normal, regardless what driving mode you're in. Classic Porsche thing, I really like the way they let you separate things out. Otherwise, it feels like a Porsche Cayenne, which means the driving position is really good for an SUV. You can get the seat nice and low, you can get the steering wheel out in your lap and down, and I can still see all of the dials. So anyway, let's move the big Alcantara dildo back into D, and off we go. Now at low speeds on full lock, this does do that annoying juddery thing that you get, something to do with the Ackerman of the front wheels, blah, blah, blah. The Stelvio Quadrifoglio does it much worse than this, but yeah, on full lock with cold tyres, it does that juddery kind of micro understeer thing, but otherwise it's pretty easy to live with. It does feel huge to start with, but you know, it's got four-wheel steering. It doesn't seem to do an awful lot at low speed though, the four-wheel steering. Still struggle to get this in and out of my dainty little road, but big mirrors, big windows-ish. This is a bit slit-like, but it's fine. And the view out the back is all right, considering it's a coupe with that sloping roofline. The ride, I am in ordinary mode, which is O on the little drive selector, and you can tell that this is a sportier car than the regular Cayenne Turbo. It just feels a bit stiffer, and you feel the bumps a little bit more, but it's not really uncomfortable at all. You could absolutely live with this, but you do sense that the suspension is 15% stiffer, that 3-chamber air suspension, but still pretty good. And you can change the ride height as well depending on the driving mode, and above a certain speed you get that spoiler deploying out the back. Actually, that thick old C-pillar means I can't actually see out that junction, but anyway, that is a negative. I'm going to get to some dual carriageways and tell you what it's like at cruising speed, and then we're going to do the meat of this on some twisty roads where I can use that lovely, quite heavily reworked V8. See you in a bit. Right, I'm out for a sensible drive in my Nurburgring lap record SUV, and I'm going from a 50 limit into a dual carriageway, 70-mile-an-hour limit, except there's a corner before. Oh wait, this car doesn't really notice it because it's got so much grip, and then, yeah, it's really, really sodding fast. Let's talk about some of the sensible things before I just go, ooh, it's fast lots. It's quite quiet, it's quite refined. I'll put it back in comfort suspension mode, and sitting here at 70 miles an hour, I've not really got much wind noise. I've got a bit of tyre noise from those fatty whoppers on each of those rims, but it's otherwise it's pretty refined in here. Now, I couldn't find anywhere to wirelessly charge my phone in here. There's some places under there that look like I forgot to spec it, and otherwise you have to let your phone rattle around in a cup holder. But yeah, whatever, I don't really care. We'll find out why when we get to twisty roads. Fuel economy, I said 15 mpg. It's got a 90 litre fuel tank, this, so when it was full the other day, it was only telling me I could go 300 miles, which is mildly terrifying, considering that will cost, what, 120, 130 quid to fill up at the moment? So yeah, but you probably don't buy this for efficiency. The gearbox is a delight. It is a torque converter, but it is super rapid at changing gears, and it's always in the right gear. Porsche masters of programming automatic gearboxes to always do the right thing, and this is no different. Right, I'm going to go back in sport mode, coming up to a roundabout. Those brakes, really easy to modulate. It feels like a Porsche. You have to press the pedal a bit harder than you'd think, and my god, yeah, this thing has ridiculously high grip limits. And then when you accelerate out of the corner, you feel it move around quite a lot in a good, secure feeling way. It just feels very nimble, and like it can send the power exactly where it needs to go to hoist you around the corner. It almost feels a bit like the all-electric dual motor Taycan in that respect. But yeah, I've gone around corners at speeds in this thing that would have most SUVs understeering into the nearest hedge. And although it understeers a bit when the tyres are cold and you get on the power, it is pretty pointy, and you can certainly feel the Porsche's GT division has worked its magic on it to put your eyes on saucers like that round corners. It just feels really natural round bends. It doesn't feel like, oh god, I need to slow down, I'm in an SUV. It just wants to attack the corners like a sports car. It is absolutely brilliant the way this goes down a twisty road. It encourages you to drive it like you would a Cayman, pretty much, and you can get it moving around, get on the power outfall roundabout, and you'll have to wind some opposite lock on. It's very entertaining. That's in Sport Plus mode. Goodness, anyway, gonna get twisty roads and show you some more of this in a second. Another great thing about this car is the fact that it's a Porsche, so you don't have to mess about setting it up to find the driving mode that you like. You just use the dial here to go ordinary, individual, sport or sport plus, and chances are you can just leave it in any of those and turn the suspension up or down in terms of hardness, and that's it, really. And then you've got a great driving machine. You don't have to find one of these 1 in 1,000 combinations of sport chassis, comfort, steering and everything else. It just works. So yay, well done Porsche. Right, let's go do some twisty roads. The noise of this thing as it down blips is amazing. You get little bits of cannon fire in Sport Plus mode out of those whopping titanium exhaust exits. Anyway, let's see if we can stop and do that 3.3 seconds to 62. Actually, it's 3.1 to 60 and the speed limit's 60, so let's do that instead. Right, no one about. Sport Plus mode, left foot on the brake. Performance start. That is 60 and a little bit. Wow, yeah, so even then you could sense in third gear the back end kicking out slightly in a straight line. It's not terrifying, but it is an indication of how much power and torque this thing has got. And you might think, oh, it's just the 4-litre V8 that's in every Volkswagen Group thing, but this is made by Porsche. It's got an updated crankshaft, it's got new injectors, it's got redesigned pretty much everything, and it certainly feels different. It sounds angrier, it feels angrier, it feels more violent than I've ever felt this engine feel, and yeah, I'm not surprised this has a Nurburgring lap record, because the body control on a bumpy road is just sensational. It doesn't really roll much, but it's not uncomfortable, and it still gives you the confidence through the steering, through your pants, through the brake pedal to attack corners and get on the throttle on the way out, and it squares up and just F's off down the road. Yeah, this is an addictive driving machine. It is something else. And it's not just the speed. This takes SUV handling not just to the next level, but I think several levels beyond that. And I think no matter how sniffy you get about SUVs and how I'd rather have an estate car, the fact is, those brakes are quite noisy now, the fact is that people buy performance SUVs, otherwise Porsche wouldn't bother making it. And this one, I think, is something that any petrolhead would properly enjoy and wouldn't have to be embarrassed about admitting that in front of all their little car nerd friends. So anyway, yeah, from a driving point of view, best SUV I've driven by a country mile. I've got way more confidence in the front end than in, say, a Lamborghini Urus. It feels just as fast as a Urus, but more controlled and just a bit more, take me to a racetrack. So yeah, well done, Porsche. You've done something quite incredible with this car. Anyway, back to you, Tim, for a more well-rounded outro. Possibly, I'm going to do this face a bit more. Did I look like I was having fun? Because I think I was having fun. Yeah, in conclusion. Oh dear, the Porsche Cayenne Turbo GT. I don't want to use all of the superlatives, but it is just so good. It's the SUV that you've always wanted in your head. We always talk about sports SUVs driving well, but as always with the caveat, for an SUV, Porsche have somehow got rid of all those caveats. It drives bloody well for a sports car, let alone something that weighs 2.3 tons. Yeah, I'm blown away by this thing. It's seriously rapid, it handles well, it goes around corners really naturally, and that's the whole thing. It just feels natural, it doesn't feel forced, it doesn't feel contrived. Oh, I need to go and have a bit of a lie down, frankly. I don't know how Porsche has done this. This is a massively underrated car. I think it's going to change the way we think about performance SUVs, but frankly, it's just a different Cayenne when you look at it in a brochure. But go and drive one and you'll be blown away. Now, thank you for watching. Hopefully that was helpful. If you've gone to go and buy one of these, tell me in the comments so I can go and give you a big manly cuddle or a ladylike cuddle, whichever you prefer. I can do both on weekends. But anyway, thanks for watching. Please like, please comment and subscribe down below and tell me how great everything is in your life and if you're looking forward to Christmas. Anyway, goodbye.